This is 9 News with Mark Burrows.
Good afternoon. We begin with breaking news. Firefighters have been tackling a blaze in Guildford after a transformer caught on fire between two apartment blocks. 18 residents had to be evacuated, but they should be able to return once the buildings have been aired out. There have been no reports of any injuries and the cause is being investigated. New South Wales has taken another major step in post-lockdown life, with all remaining students returning to school for the first time in 4 months. Tiffany Genders was there as children were welcomed back in Sydney's northwest.
A lot of smiles on dials today as more than 500,000 Years 2 to 11 students were welcomed back to school. With campuses now at capacity, today officially marks the end of laptop learning from home, which I am sure many parents and many children are happy to see the back of. There's been an extraordinary amount of effort to get to this point. There has been an audit of every single school in New South Wales to check that there is enough ventilation in buildings. 95% of teachers are now vaccinated and the numbers are climbing for children aged above 12. And there's been a major shake-up to every school timetable to allow for staggered start and finish times to limit exposure. Now, the cherry on top today is that it has been announced that school sport will be back from November 1. The state government has also offered an extra hand to HSC students who have struggled with their studies during lockdown. Now, we've been at St Bernadette's primary school in the Dundas Valley today, where kids were given the royal treatment. Take a listen to how it all went.
It's a bit nerve-wracking since lockdowns happened, but I'm very excited to see all my friends and get that social interaction again, and see all my teachers and just say a big hello to everyone and how they're doing.
It'll be nice for them. I'm not a good school teacher, so it'll be nice for them to get back to the normal.
It's a lot more students on our site. We've been really careful in just considering how they'll be moving around, so we've made sure that we separate out our cohorts and our stages at recess and lunch. Kind of organised our teaching team so that they're not crossing over too much, just all about keeping the children safe.
Now, Mount Druitt Public School in Sydney's West is one of 16 schools that are closed today because of a COVID case in the school community. That is the longest list that we've seen in a while, but the government says that we have to get used to it. This will be the new normal. Unfortunately, some parents missed the memo and took their kids to school today only to be turned around. The advice to parents: if your child has been ordered to go into isolation, home learning should be available, and it's up to individual schools to organise that.
New South Wales has recorded 294 new COVID cases in the past 24 hours and sadly 4 more deaths. It brings the total death toll during the Delta outbreak to more than 500 and includes a person in their 40s who was not vaccinated. 474 people are in hospital with COVID. 116 of those are in intensive care. It comes as the state reached another vaccine milestone today. 85% of over 16s are now fully vaccinated. An impressive 93% have had one jab. And on their first day back at school, more than half of the 12 to 15-year-olds have had both doses. Well, former Deputy Premier John Barilaro has told ICAC Gladys Berejiklian should have disclosed her relationship with the then Liberal MP Daryl Maguire. State politics reporter Liz Daniels is covering the inquiry and she joins me live. Liz, Mr Barilaro was quite blunt in his assessment of the Premier's former boyfriend.
That's right, Mark. John Barilaro has just finished giving evidence here at the Corruption Commission, which is investigating Gladys Berejiklian's conduct. And he was quite blunt in his assessment of Daryl Maguire. He called him a pain. And it's not unlike the assessment that we've heard from both Stuart Ayres and former Premier Mike Baird, in that it sounds as though Daryl Maguire was a very dogged supporter of his own electorate and really fought for his own, for projects in his own electorate. Now, the questioning around Mr Barilaro today really centred on the approval of funding for grants in Mr Maguire's electorate, one for a shooting club and one that never ended up getting up, which was a Conservatorium of Music grant. Now, This is about $30 million in funding, and what Mr Barilaro's evidence really centred around was the fact that he said that Gladys Berejiklian should have declared her conflict of interest. She should have declared that relationship with Mr Maguire when they were making those decisions, when Cabinet was making those decisions around those grants, and that if she had, she would have had to have left the room while the issue was being debated. He also said it potentially could have led to an entire conflict of interest across the government. Have a listen to some of John Barilaro's evidence.
I, in one way, could argue that I had a conflict of interest if I had known there was a relationship. And I think other members of the parliament were either the same members of the same political party or government of the day. So there is a ripple effect of conflicts that we would have had to manage, not just the conflict of interest for Ms Berejiklian.
Now, despite that, John Barilaro also said that the gun club grant, which was about $5.5 million, that ended up being funded after being pushed through ERC in what he called an unusual process, but he did say it had merit and as a proposal. Now, as he was leaving, Mark, he's just left the commission after giving a nearly full day of evidence. Mr Barilaro told me he believes there is no corruption here, and I'll have more on that for you at 4:30.
Liz Daniels, thank you. Well, the federal government has come under fire today for keeping details of its long-awaited climate plan under wraps. Live 2 political reporter Fiona Whelan. Fee, the coalition has done a deal for net zero. What do we know about it?
Well, Mark, Labor has been describing this as a secret deal because the coalition has been staying silent about what's in it. So after a week of very public negotiations between the Liberals and the Nationals, they announced last night that they have reached an agreement. The Nationals are now on board. They'll back a target of net zero emissions by 2050. But in exchange for their support, they wanted a number of demands met. It's understood this included safeguards for miners and farmers to protect their jobs in a low emissions economy. As for what exactly was agreed to, well, we don't know yet, but this question has certainly been asked many times today.
All that'll be revealed tomorrow.
The first rule of Fight Club is not to talk about Fight Club.
Well, your government certainly is a fight club, there's no doubt about that.
We don't know what the rules of the game are, and we don't know what the outcome is.
Now, it's pretty clear what one of the demands was. So the Nationals have long been pushing for another cabinet position, and today, suddenly, they got their way. The Resources Minister, Keith Pitt, was promoted. Tonight, Cabinet will sign off on the plan, and then it will be unveiled tomorrow before the PM boards a plane to Europe on Thursday, where he'll attend an international climate conference. Now, Australia has been under global pressure to do more on climate change, so no doubt Scott Morrison will be pretty relieved he has a new target to take to that summit. Mark?
Fiona Whelan in Canberra, thank you. Well, we're just 1 week away from quarantine-free international travel. Coming up, Jetstar's CEO reveals the budget flights on offer before Christmas. Tough new laws aimed at protecting kids on social media. A car flips into a front yard metres from a couple sleeping inside. And wild scenes as protesters fight a vaccine mandate.
It can be hard to define what makes a character great, but finding great characters is easy.
If you're ready to change lives, as well as your own, then a life-changing life is waiting in the care and support sector. Now hiring at careandsupportjobs.gov.au. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
From one electric moment to the next.
With Square, your business is all connected. From how you work with your customers to how your money works for you. So you can stay focused on the connections that matter most.
I don't want anything to do with your job you're not going to get done anyway.
The final week is here.
I'm out of here. I'm out of here.
Listen to me. Calm down.
Welcome to chaos, Monica. Nothing but chaos.
One final push to nail the greatest block ever.
10,000 bricks. It's the Great Wall of Hampton.
Heat.
We don't care about the other contestants.
On the street.
Keith and Dan. Working at House 5 for free.
Blows up the neighbourhood.
Dan. We didn't create this problem, you guys did.
Explosive, spectacular, inspirational. The final week, tonight, 7:30.
The world and our international borders are now reopening, and it's time to reignite your love to travel in 2022 with the scenic grand opening sale. Experience 5-star, truly all-inclusive luxury, unrivaled dining and enriching experiences as you cruise Europe's grand waterways. Book a 15-day scenic river cruise for $9,595 and fly business for $2,995. Total price $12,590.
And Felix the fish asked Daphne the dolphin for directions. Oh no, said Felix. I never learnt dolphin.
Fantastic furniture. Find your fantastic.
It's value the Australian way at Coles. With 100% Aussie Drover's Choice Beef Rump Steak. No added hormones and just $5 each.
Delicious.
And only at Coles.
The Ned's Punters Toolbox, fully loaded for spring racing. Take it to the Ned's level.
A motorcyclist has been seriously injured after colliding with a car in Sydney's southwest early this morning. The vehicles are alleged to have hit at high speed. Emergency crews finding the rider lying unconscious at the Moorebank intersection. The male driver was uninjured. Well, tough new laws could soon force social media companies to make sweeping changes to their platforms aimed at keeping young children safe from the harms of the digital world. For more on this, I'm joined by the Managing Director of ChildWise, Natalie Segal-Brown. Natalie, thanks for your time. Take us through the laws being put forward by the federal government.
Sure, Mark. Well, in essence, it's going to provide the e-Safety Commissioner with powers to ask online media providers to remove content from being online, or they'll be fined. And it will make some websites harder to access using what's called age verification software, which is actually what's now coming into the UK. There are some really important issues in scope. Restricting kids' access to pornographic content, removing non-consensual images, removing images that might be considered to promote, incite or depict abhorrent violence, cyberbullying, and these are fantastic moves.
Natalie, what kind of evidence are we seeing of the pain actually being caused by social media on young children?
Look, it's a vexed issue because the fact is that social media is perceived by many kids to be a form of emancipation. And in fact, it was a survival line during lockdown for many children, many teens, and most of us in the adult world who really need social adhesion to survive. It was the only mechanism we had. There is no doubt that there is serious consequences from the kinds of things that the Act is protecting against. They are hideous and insidious issues, but it doesn't deal with 90% of the things that kids grapple with every day online. And these are the kinds of things that won't be resolved by trying to verify a person's age before they access it, because it's about the way kids access social media and the way they use social media.
Natalie, what else can parents be doing to keep their children safe online?
First and foremost, you have to foster an environment where kids can disclose to you without fearing your judgment, without fearing that you're going to take their device away, that you're going to say they're stupid for having posted something online. They need your empathy, they need you to listen, they need you to verify their feelings, and then they need your support to exit it. The other thing you need to teach your child is that private does not mean private. Snap does not mean that image is going to disappear from the internet altogether. People screenshot those images all the time. Before your kid wants to upload an app, So you want to sit down and go through the privacy settings with them. The other key thing I want to say here is that online gaming is not what you think. You need to know who your child is playing online with. Unfortunately, we're hearing many stories of predation coming through headphones when kids are playing online games. Make sure you know who they're talking to online and that you've met that person yourself.
Natalie, we will have to leave it there, but thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mark.
Let's have a quick check of the weather right now. 17 degrees at Sydney Harbour, looking glorious. 19 degrees at the airport. Tomorrow, wet and warm at Brisbane, cloud cover over Sydney. Sunny and 20 the forecast for Canberra and Melbourne. Tomorrow, a mild top of 17 in Hobart. Hot day for Adelaide, Perth wet and cool and reaching 35 in Darwin. We'll have the full forecast coming up with Amber. A twist in the Australian Open saga. A leaked email sparks a row over whether unvaccinated tennis players will be allowed to play. Alec Baldwin consoles the family of the woman he accidentally shot dead amid calls for a safety overhaul in Hollywood. And they've lost a few big names, but one star bunny has committed for another premiership push.
Looking for something to keep the whole family entertained? Now you can dive into live sport, award-winning drama and over 1,000 movies, not to mention Netflix. All in one place. Yours. Get it now with Foxtel's special offer. Search Foxtel.
With Cabot, you can finish your deck in a day, so you can get back to the things that matter most. Finish in one day with Cabot's.
From one electric moment to the next.
With Square, your business is all connected. From how you work with your customers to how your money works for you. So you can stay focused on the connections that matter most.
A moment of honesty from everyone in the room. Put your hand up if you ever have smacked your child.
In the most challenging year parents have ever faced.
It's hard to try and get it right.
Different parenting styles.
Disciplined homeschooling family.
Routine with a lot of love thrown in.
Will judge each other.
Rafi, I would class that as a tantrum.
I'd class it as a meltdown or big feelings.
The groundbreaking new series.
This is going to change the conversation about parenting in this country.
New parental guidance starts next Monday, 7:30 on 9.
Visit familyproject.org.au.
If your credit card debt is keeping you up at night, move your balance to a NAB low-rate card and save on interest with 0% per annum on balance transfers for 32 months, so you can get your finances and your sleep back on track. NAB, more than money.
With everything going on in the world, do you really want to load the dishwasher again tonight? Sometimes you just gotta say, stuff it. Domino's Cheesy Crust, stuffed with tasty mozzarella for just $2.95 extra. Domino's.
This past year has felt like a long Norwegian winter. But with spring comes rebirth. Welcome back to the world.
Viking, exploring the world in comfort.
Get Bupa Extras cover before life goes down. It's less than you think. From under $3.50 a week. Search Bupa Extras before life happens.
This sports report brought to you by PointsBet. It's shacking easy to bet anytime, anywhere with the PointsBet app.
Extinction Rebellion protesters have caused peak hour chaos in Adelaide's CBD. As Ella Duffy reports, they're vowing to keep causing disruption, demanding action on climate change.
The protesters caused almost 2 hours of traffic chaos and disruption in the city this morning. Dragged to a paddy wagon in handcuffs, this woman is one of 3 taken into custody, ending a lengthy standoff with police. Extinction Rebellion protesters erecting a tripod structure at the intersection of Flinders and King William Street, blocking all westbound traffic from 8 a.m. Activists demanding all levels of government take greater action on climate change.
The planet is burning. Nobody who is a part of Extinction Rebellion wants to be doing this. We're doing it because we feel at this point in history we have no other choice.
The spectacle unfolding during the morning peak hour, city streets blocked off with traffic diverted. The reaction from motorists caught up in the delays, mixed.
There's no point in doing it. All they're doing is causing this delay.
They've got absolute right to be angry, and yeah, shame I'm inconvenienced, shame we're all inconvenienced, but what else are they supposed to do?
It's the second time in just a week the group has pulled a stunt of this kind. Last Wednesday, activists superglued themselves and prams to the bitumen on King William Street. The protesters say they are only just beginning, vowing further action in the near future.
Well, Cronulla Sharks Premiership coach Shane Flanagan is back as a rugby league head coach, leading the Macedonian Lions national team. Flanagan is teaming up with assistant coach Paul Gallen, with the team to play matches later this year.
Oh, I think it's been bubbling along for a while now. You know, some people doing a lot of work behind the scenes, but you saw how many players turned up today, and obviously the staff. He's got a pretty impressive coaching staff, so Gal and Keith Galloway, Reece Williams.
Flanagan says he has the desire to coach at NRL level again. Well, grand final Rabbitoh Keon Kolamatangi has extended his South Sydney contract. The second rower will remain a bunny until the end of the 2024 season. Australian fast bowler Josh Hazlewood says narrowly winning their World Cup opener gives the Aussies belief they can go on to claim the trophy in the UAE.
Feels like you're in the tournament and you're sort of that one step closer to a semi-final. And yeah, I think it's just great to get home in a real close game last night. You know, for that middle order, lower order to get the job done, which, you know, I sort of felt like it was going to happen the whole game, but it's good to tick it off.
Australia faces Sri Lanka on Thursday night. Pakistan has sent another warning to the other Super 12 teams, thrashing India by 10 wickets to record their first ever World Cup victory over their fierce rivals. The men in green chased 152 inside 18 overs, with openers Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan crafting unbeaten half-centuries. It's estimated more than 1 billion people watched the match on television. Perth Scorchers have thrashed Sydney Thunder and Launceston to leave the defending champions without a win from 3 matches in the WBBL. White Fern star Sophie Devine scored an incredible 60-ball century for the Scorchers before they restricted Sydney to just 105 from 20 overs. Well, the football world is coming to terms with Liverpool's complete and utter humiliation of Manchester United at Old Trafford. West Ham United rose to 4th on the table, beating London rivals Tottenham 1-0. Max Verstappen has extended his Drivers' Championship lead over Lewis Hamilton. The Dutch driver took out this morning's United States Grand Prix in front of more than 140,000 fans in Texas. Daniel Ricciardo finished 5th. Jack Miller crashed with 24 laps to go in this morning's MotoGP in Italy. The Australian says a poor choice in tyres was the reason he lost control. Fabio Quartararo was crowned the world champion after finishing 4th. He can't be caught in the world standings with 2 races to go. Well, Hot Seat is next for viewers in southern New South Wales, followed by Win Local News at 5:30 and 9 News with Peter Overn at 6. For everyone else, what lockdown? Sydney surges back to life as we mark the last major COVID milestone. But a stark warning, the pandemic is not over. The experts hint at what life will be like under our new normal. What the former Deputy Premier revealed in his evidence at the ICAC inquiry. The $100 gift from the government that could save your child's life. and remembering an immortal. Rugby League's Norm Provan farewelled by some of the game's greats.
Download the 9 News app. Access all the news you'll ever need when you want it at your fingertips with the free 9 News app.
This is the Dyson Corral Straightener with manganese copper alloy plates that flex, shape and gather for enhanced styling with less damage. Dyson Corral.
Double serum, double power, now for your eyes. New Clarins Double Serum Eye. Its unique double formula, 96% from natural origin, acts visibly on all signs of aging. Only 7 days for younger looking eyes. Double Serum Eye. Clarins.
Right now, you can get the hard-working T60 4x4 diesel auto from just $39.90. It's a deal so good, you'll feel like you're getting away with something. Limited stock. Visit an LDV dealer today.
I dropped a bomb. The whole world is watching.
There's blood in the water. Sharks are coming.
I'm focused on not going to jail.
Logan says we have to take these. Cyanide pills. It's a mint, you doofus.
Where does this end? It's friction.
I'm a good guy. I'm better than you.
We'll beast them. We'll go full beast.
Moment of honesty from everyone in the room. Put your hand up if you ever have smacked your child.
In the most challenging year parents have ever faced.
It's hard to try and get it right.
Different parenting styles.
Disciplined homeschooling family.
Routine with a lot of love thrown in.
Will judge each other.
Rafi?
I would class that as a tantrum.
I'd class it as a meltdown or big feelings.
The groundbreaking new series.
This is going to change the conversation about parenting in this country.
New parental guidance starts next Monday, 7:30 on 9.
When there are issues with your bathroom grout and you need someone to sort it out. Stop leaking showers and balconies without removing tiles. Visit megasealed.com.au.
If you've been thinking about university, now's the time to get started because we've just added hundreds of new courses. Find the right study choice for you, all in one place with Open Universities Australia. Explore online courses today.
Wakey, wakey, sleepyhead. Now look, I'm not telling you what to do, kid, but you might want to ditch that piece of junk in your kitchen and let me take care of your coffee from now on. And if you need some extra convincing, Spot Buy Now Pay Later lets you pay in full, interest-free, anywhere MasterCard is accepted. Capiche? So, whatever catches you, that guy looks like he knows coffee eye. It's perfectly spottable. Search Spot Buy Now Pay Later today.
Returning to our breaking news in Guildford, where firefighters have managed to extinguish an electrical fire which threatened multiple apartment buildings. 18 people had to be evacuated after a transformer burst into flames on Cross Street around 2 o'clock this afternoon. The buildings have some smoke damage, but residents should be able to return once the units have been aired out. No one was injured and the cause is being investigated. Well, students across the state have spent their first day back in the classroom in 4 months as years 2 to 11 return to face-to-face learning. More than 500,000 students went back to school and it was smiles all round from children, parents and teachers.
My goodness, it felt amazing just to see my friends, not over FaceTime, over Snapchat anymore, just to see them face to face and truly just have that connection with us that we didn't get to have for like those 4 months. It really felt amazing.
Oh, it's very exciting. We've really been looking forward to this day. Sitting in my office this morning, hearing that wonderful noise. A school without kids is just a building, and it's just come to life this morning. It was just really heartwarming.
The government also announced today restrictions on school sport will be lifted on November the 1st.
Connection that students can have to be able to be going out, kicking a footy with their mates or playing netball. That's an important part of the school experience.
But not everyone was able to leave home learning behind just yet. 16 schools across the state closed for cleaning today after positive COVID cases were detected. Well, New South Wales has recorded 294 new COVID cases today and sadly 4 more deaths. But it comes as the state hits another impressive vaccination milestone. And Charles Croucher joins me at the desk. Charles, take us through the figures.
Mark, New South Wales continue to lead all the states, and you mentioned that milestone. That's because we are now at some new milestones for double doses. That is 85% of the population have now had 2 shots. This is getting up and beyond what health officials and government officials would have dreamed about when they first started this rollout. 93.1% you can see there with a single dose. Really impressive figures in that 12 to 15 range, crucial as students head back to school. More than half of those students aged 12 to 15 now have 2 doses of the vaccine, and given that's only been a short time frame that's been available, that is a really quick, really impressive turnaround from some of the teenagers that are now able to get it. Let's have a look at some of the national figures, because you can see just how far ahead New South Wales is at the moment. We're at 85 and 93. You'll notice some pivotal moments. Victoria on first dose has gone through 90% first dose. It's at 90.6 there, 74.7. So around 3 out of 4 have had 2 doses in Victoria. Queensland for the first time is through 75% first dose. That means 3 in 4 Queenslanders have had at least 1 shot, those that are eligible. It's up over 60%, but only just on second dose, and WA is still below that figure, so just 59.6% of Western Australians are fully vaccinated. This time next week, New South Wales residents will be able to head out to the regions. The state is opening up, not just internationally, but opening up to the whole state, and there's some pretty worrying figures in some of those really popular tourist areas. You'll notice Byron, which we've been covering pretty extensively, 63.5% double dose. That has increased a lot in the last couple of weeks, particularly first doses, so it's still quite low at 63, but also Lismore, 69.3%, and the Tweed right up there on the border, still only at 71.8% fully vaccinated. Now, that's the coast. When you compare that to some other popular spots away from the coast, Orange up over 90% fully vaccinated, and the Snowy Mountains down there is up over 80 and heading to really good levels as well. So while this time next week you'll be able to travel, not all regional communities will have that level of protection that the rest of Sydney does. So whilst the 2 weeks that this has been delayed has bought them a bit more time, there still is a test to come.
I guess, Charles, too, it'd be interesting to see what a lot of the regional communities with lower figures will actually feel about people coming into the community.
It's going to be the big challenge, right? And the hospital system we know is set up and has been preparing, but isn't as productive as it is in Sydney, and hasn't got the resources that some of the bigger cities or the bigger towns even have in the region. So that's a big test that's coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, Charles, thank you. Well, the New South Wales government has announced an expansion to its First Lap swim program. Parents of kindergarten-aged children will be eligible to claim the $100 vouchers from December the 1st to cover the cost of swimming lessons.
We know that 25 young children a year die from drowning, aged between 0 and 4. So the more kids that we can get into swimming, the better that will be in terms of saving lives.
Parents of preschool children are already eligible. They can apply for the vouchers through Service New South Wales. Well, former Deputy Premier John Barilaro has denied there was any corruption around grant funding handed to a regional gun club after giving evidence at the corruption inquiry into Gladys Berejiklian. State politics reporter Liz Daniels just spoke to John Barilaro and she joins us live. Liz, what did the outgoing Nationals leader have to say?
Mark,
Mark, John Barilaro's evidence could not have been clearer. He said Gladys Berejiklian should have declared her close personal relationship with Daryl Maguire instead of keeping it secret for about 5 years. And the main reason he believes that is because he says that she was sitting at the table when grant funding for Daryl Maguire's Wagga Wagga electorate was discussed. In the end, $5.5 million of taxpayer money went out the door to support a upgrade of a clay target shooting association in Wagga Wagga. But John Barilaro, in his evidence today, said that he still believes that project has merit and that he still believes it would have been funded even if Gladys Berejiklian had declared that relationship. Now, as he left, I did speak to the former Deputy Premier, and this is what he had to say about the former Premier.
Gladys is a person of high integrity. I've always believed it and I still continue to believe it. I don't think anything less than that. The issue here is about a breach maybe of the ministerial code through a conflict of interest. That is for for the Commission to determine that. But no, there's no corruption.
So essentially there, John Barilaro declaring there was no corruption in the awarding of these grants. That will essentially be up to ICAC to determine, but it does appear John Barilaro is very staunch in his opinion that Gladys Berejiklian absolutely should have declared her secret relationship, Mark.
OK, Liz, thank you. Well, torrential rain and destructive winds of up to 100 kilometres an hour have triggered a landslide in northern California. The storm cell is barrelling south in what meteorologists are calling a bomb cyclone. Some towns have experienced flash flooding, with more than 160,000 homes left without power. Well, there are calls to overhaul Hollywood productions in the wake of the fatal shooting of cinematographer Helena Hutchins on the set of an Alec Baldwin film. The actor who pulled the trigger has been seen consoling the victim's widower and son as the investigation continues. Here's Amelia Adams.
Alec Baldwin has been spending time with Helena Hutchins' grieving husband and her 9-year-old son. Despite the fact that Baldwin pulled the trigger that killed her, her family has really rallied behind the actor. Her father insisting it's not Alec Baldwin's fault because gun safety is the responsibility of the props people who handle the firearms. And in this case, those people are the film's armourer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, who prepared the gun, and the assistant director, David Halls, who handed it to Alec Baldwin, the lead actor and executive producer. Their actions very much in the spotlight now, along with several red flags raised about safety on the set of Rust. Among them, reports today the gun that killed Helena Hutchins was also used by crew for target practice with live rounds. So the investigation is vast. The movie set is a crime scene. At this stage, the Santa Fe District Attorney says it's really not clear if charges will be laid. Meantime, a number of high-profile directors and cinematographers here in Hollywood have said that guns should no longer be used in production. They should be replaced with replicas, the gunshot effects added in post-production. Thousands now throwing their support behind a suggested Helena's Law to ban all firearms on Hollywood film sets.
If you need proof that seatbelts and airbags save lives, this is it. The driver of this hatchback, which crashed and flipped onto another car near Newcastle, has come away with only minor injuries. A couple was asleep inside the front room when the vehicle landed just metres away from them.
Well, run outside at first and couldn't get out our front door because there was a car basically out our front door. So had to run out the back and came through the neighbour's yard and found the car in the front yard.
The driver, a woman aged in her 30s, was taken to John Hunter Hospital as a precaution. Well, a Gold Coast boy has had an almighty brush with death in the recent storms, getting hit by lightning and living to tell the tale. Jesse Burns has the story.
It was just another day at school for Talon Rose when everything changed in a flash. Just before 9 a.m, having waved goodbye to his mum and walking into his school gates, the next thing Talon knew, he was on the ground. He had actually just been struck by lightning. Talon was then transported to hospital with minor scars to his arm and legs, but his vitals were all okay and has since made a full recovery.
I remember a friend coming around and seeing it, and I remember the father that picked me up, and I kind of remember the fall.
No, he's just a lucky guy. That's all I can say. I mean, quite frankly, yeah, you don't want to mess with lightning.
Health professionals say it was actually his shoes that saved his life. The rubber soles insulating electricity, limiting the amount of current passing through his body. Hopefully for Talon, lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place, and he can now enter school with peace of mind.
From his teammates during their decade of dominance to the players who donned the red V in the years after, the Dragons have farewelled club legend Norm Provan. Mike Dalton was at the St Leagues Club.
For fans of rugby league, Norm Provan is one of two protagonists arm in arm on the NRL Premiership Trophy. But for fans of the Red V, Norm Provan is the greatest Dragon of them all. The 10 times Premiership winning player and coach farewelled both here in Sydney and on the Sunshine Coast.
Mate, he was my hero when I was 10 years old. We'd get about 4 games over here at Jubilee because Match of the Round was in at the cricket ground. He would be there half an hour after it all finished and just signing everyone's autographs.
But you just think of his leadership skills back in the day, controlling the playing group.
Who were a wild bunch.
Well, there's, it's Chook and Billy and Chang, that's name a couple. It's just, it just wasn't Norm. But it's like in any success, particularly team sports, someone's got to be the leader.
The thing that sets Norm apart, in my view, is he was the ultimate rugby league statesman. He just had an aura about him as player in the 50s and then as captain coach in the 60s. And the thing is, he had such a colossal reputation and he lived up to it every day of his life. I don't think anyone said a bad word about Norm Provan.
He certainly led by example. And off the field, as I said before, he was such a great leader of men, and he was an example of what we all would like to be.
Well, online deliveries hit by a new strike, how your parcel could be affected. It could be yours for the right price. 60 cells, even a watchtower. The jail up for auction. And from management to maintenance, McDonald's is looking for 11,000 workers right now.
With Cabot, you can finish your deck in a day, so you can get back to the things that matter most. Finish in one day with Cabot's.
What makes a character great? It's hard to say. Some are great because they achieve great things. Others because they show great kindness. And others still, well, great doesn't always mean good. But while it can be hard to define what makes a character great, finding great characters is easy.
Who says one wellness fits all? Or that you need activewear to be active? Yeah, live like nobody's watching. Introducing new Centrum Tailored Benefit Blends. Do wellness your way.
At Andersons, we've been making a real difference to Aussie homes for over 50 years. We serve our local communities, Australian manufacturers and locally owned businesses. Andersons have a friendly, family-oriented culture built on country town values. And right now, we're looking for more great people like you. Visit andersons.com.au to find out more. We're real people doing what we really love.
From one electric moment to the next.
I don't want anything to do with your
job you're not going to get done anyway.
The final week is here.
I'm out of here. I'm out of here.
Listen to me. Calm down.
Welcome to chaos, Rick. Nothing but chaos.
One final push to nail the greatest block ever.
10,000 bricks. It's the Great Wall of Hampton.
Heat.
We don't care about the other contestants.
On the street.
Keith and Dan. Working at House 5 for free.
Blows up the neighbourhood.
Dan. We didn't create this problem, you guys did.
Explosive, spectacular, inspirational. The final week, tonight, 7:30.
The jilted lover who went public with a dirt file on Barry, and the rooster who said, "See you in court." A current affair tonight.
There is growing confusion over whether unvaccinated tennis stars can compete at the Australian Open in January. Here's Mark Santamartino.
Will unvaccinated tennis players be allowed to play at next year's Australian Open? That is the question after an email leaked from the Women's Tennis Association to its stars indicating that talks were underway to let those who hadn't received the jab into the country. According to the email, players who are unvaccinated would be allowed in so long as they did 2 weeks of hard quarantine, similar to the Australian Open earlier this year. The difference comes with the vaccine mandate. At the moment, under Victoria's rules, every professional athlete has to be fully vaccinated by the 26th of November. Players would need an exception to get around that.
If the rules for foreign nationals is that they can come into the country if they do 14 days quarantine unvaccinated, then I would expect that to apply to Australian Open participants.
Of course, all eyes are on the men's world number one, Novak Djokovic, who has previously spoken out against vaccination. He refuses to reveal his COVID-19 vaccination status after winning 3 Australian Opens in a row. Sadly, another 7 Victorians with COVID-19 have died on a day the state reported more than 1,400 cases. In better news, that's 500 fewer than yesterday. 74% of those over the age of 16 are now fully vaccinated in Victoria. There are roughly 500,000 who are eligible who are yet to come forward and get the jab. A large number of those are in the Indigenous community. The rates of vaccination there are below 60% to be fully vaccinated. This van was shown off today that will be travelling around the state trying to boost those numbers. The areas of concern that will be targeted first are Collingwood and the western suburbs.
Protesters have broken through the barricades outside a basketball arena in New York, demanding one of the NBA's top players be allowed on the court. A vaccine mandate has forced the Brooklyn Nets to sideline their unvaccinated star Kyrie Irving. The Australian-born basketballer is on a contract worth $136 million. Well, thousands of FedEx workers have walked off the job today, slowing down deliveries across the country for the second time in a month. Natalia Cooper has more.
If you're waiting for a parcel to be delivered, you might be waiting a little bit longer. FedEx workers have today walked off the job for 24 hours. The Transport Workers Union says they were close to a deal last week for better pay and for job security, but then those negotiations have fallen through, and so that's why the strike has happened today.
It's got 5,000 million profit reasons why it can support job security and payments for these workers.
FedEx, you're making the money. Just give us what you owe us. We don't want any more. We just want what you bloody owe us.
The transport industry is in a bit of turmoil. This is the second time in a month that FedEx workers have gone on strike. Star Track employees have also had 2 strikes in the past month. The demand for these delivery services has just boomed during the pandemic. Australia Post says that they've seen a 32% increase in online shopping, and they're delivering around 10 million parcels a week. So that is why today they have committed $400 million to improving their delivery network. I'll have those details tonight at 6 o'clock.
Actor James Michael Tyler, best known as Gunther from Friends, has died aged 59 after complications from prostate cancer. Former cast and crew members have made their tributes to the fan favourite actor, including Matt LeBlanc and the show's creator. The families of 17 Christian missionaries being held hostage in Haiti have pleaded for their loved ones to be released. It comes more than a week after a gang kidnapped the group in Port-au-Prince. A senior figure from the US-based missionary read a statement calling on the gang members to repent. Just days before embarking on a new album tour, Ed Sheeran has tested positive to COVID-19. The singer made the announcement on social media, saying he will do as many concerts and interviews as he can from his home as he self-isolates. Well, from the prison yard to the cells, a piece of convict history has hit the market. As Laura Tunstall tells us, an entire jail could be yours for the right price.
Well, I'm standing in the prison yard of Berrima Jail, and this has to be one of the most unusual pieces of real estate that's ever hit the Australian market. It is being sold off by the New South Wales government. There are 60 jail cells, a watchtower, even a tennis court. It was built in 1835 by convicts using sandstone blocks, and during World War I it was used as a prison internment camp. Most recently it was a minimum security jail, but it was closed last year. Now, expressions of interest are being taken for the property, but agents say it is very hard to put a price tag on it given just how unique this property is. There's expectations that perhaps it could be turned into a hospitality venue.
Could make a great Airbnb, great for tourism, great for hospitality, would make a great pub, could be a club, could be a restaurant, could end up being a cultural centre. Local council may want to buy it, could have any sort of usage. We want to try to ensure that it's going to be compatible and in line and in keeping with what the community wants there as well.
Now, the site has a colourful history, including jail breakouts, reports of ghosts that haunt these walls, and there are well-known faces who have spent time here. I'll tell you more about who they are in the news at 6 o'clock.
The Golden Arches has kicked off its summer recruitment blitz, offering 4,500 jobs at McDonald's restaurants across New South Wales. It's almost half of the 11,000 roles up for grabs in Australia, ranging from management positions to baristas and maintenance workers. There's promising news for anyone itching to travel to Bali. Indonesia's president promising to reopen parts of the country where COVID vaccinations are more than 70%. And with the world opening up to Australians in a week, the question is where to score the best bargains. Reid Butler has more.
Well, it has been a long time since this Boeing 787 Dreamliner has carried passengers overseas, but that is all about to change. International travel is back, and it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg.
It's Fiji, Singapore, and we're going to start Phuket as well before Christmas.
The Indonesian government is on the brink of allowing quarantine-free travel from Australia. In an exclusive interview with 9 News, Jetstar CEO Gareth Evans says he's hopeful budget flights to Bali will resume by Christmas.
If Australians are able to travel into Bali and can do so with no or very limited restrictions, then we know that there'll be demand there and we will bring our flights forward.
Australians can officially fly international from November 1. Thailand will exempt tourists from quarantine. Singapore likely to follow suit.
It just seems to have crept up on us a bit, the announcements, and able to get the customers back in the air going to a holiday they may have been dreaming about for a while.
Jetstar has just announced sale flights for next year. You can fly to Thailand for less than $150.
Everybody needs a holiday. Everybody needs to go and see their family and friends, and it's fantastic that we're on the verge of doing that.
Virgin has also released international fares for 2022 from $230 one way. The airport experience, though, will be a little different, and travellers are being encouraged to allow plenty of time before boarding.
You are going to have a requirement to get a test before you leave for most countries, so do your research.
And before you fly, a reminder, make sure your passport hasn't expired during lockdown. It needs to be valid for at least 6 months after the date you depart.
A selection of 11 Pablo Picasso artworks have sold for nearly $147 million at an auction in Las Vegas. The pieces were owned by MGM Resorts and had been on display at the Bellagio Hotel for more than 2 decades. Amber's next with the weather, but first, here's what's happening in tonight's news at 6.
Looking for something to keep the whole family entertained? Dive into a huge selection of live sport. Immerse yourself in award-winning drama. Indulge with over 1,000 movies to choose from anytime. And even stream everything on Netflix. With Foxtel special offers, there's one place to entertain the whole family. Yours. Search Foxtel.
I think it's time for you to learn the family business. We help Australians look to save on everything from insurance to energy. And here is the real brains of the business. The machine that goes bing!
What did you do, Papa?
It goes, bing every time someone compares with Compare the Market. Oh, look, another one. What? No. We've helped more than 6 million Australians look for a better deal. Simples.
From one electric moment to the next.
Chips, the most loved part of a meal. Yet they have the gall to call them a side. McCain pub style are too good to play second fiddle. From now on, chips will come with the side of mains. The chicken can come in the little basket. We'll have chips and fish shops, and we'll ask, would you like burgers with that? McCain pub style will have top billing because these chips are the main event. Oh, McCain, you've done it again.
I've spent 9 years behind these walls for a crime I didn't commit. But today, I've got a way to fight back. This is gonna get me home. And I became a lawyer to get myself out.
You have to dig in and fight hard.
He has a right to representation. I'm gonna win.
Whatever it takes.
Full Life, new season, exclusive to 9 Now, your world of free entertainment.
Time to get started, because we've just added hundreds of new courses. Find the right study choice for you, all in one place with Open Universities Australia. Explore online courses today.
Aldi's low prices just got lower, with reductions on a huge range of products like yogurt, rump steak, cereal, eggs, this, that, those, that. No, not that. Aldi, good, different.
This is going to change the conversation about parenting.
New parental guidance starts next Monday, 7:30 on 9.
Good afternoon, Andrea Panomo here in the Stays traffic chopper with a check on the roads. In Mascot, we've got a breakdown on Wentworth Avenue westbound at Botany Road, and right now on South Wentworthville on the M4, there's an accident taking out the very right lane just past the Cumberland Highway. Traffic is very heavy now and back towards Parramatta Road. You don't have to go far from Sydney to get away together. Book the home that makes the holiday with Stays. Your together awaits. Download the Stays app for your next holiday today.
A gorgeous day in Sydney today. A few clouds around this morning, but it has been mostly sunny this afternoon with light southeasterly winds. It reached a top of 25 in Penrith today, 23 in Kellyville, Blacktown and Liverpool, 22 the top in Terry Hills and Cronulla, and 23 in Gosford and in the city. We did see a few showers in the northern rivers and the mid-north coast today, but otherwise it has been fine. Top temperatures generally 1 to 3 degrees below average. The warmest temperature recorded was in Moree today, reaching 28 degrees. Tomorrow, trough will continue driving some showers and storms over eastern Queensland and northeastern New South Wales, while a high will keep conditions settled over the southeast. So showers on the way for Brisbane tomorrow, top of 27, mostly sunny in Canberra, 21. Sunshine for Melbourne at 19 degrees. A hot day on the way for Adelaide with a top of 30. Much cooler with showers in Perth, 17 degrees. We could see very light showers again in that northeast corner tomorrow, but otherwise the rest of the state will be fine. Sunshine for inland areas, heading for a top of 21. 21 in Albury and Bathurst, 25 in Griffith and Dubbo, while the coast will range from a top of 19 in Batemans Bay all the way up to 27 in Grafton. And there is a wind warning for Batemans Bay and the Eden coast. There's also a hazardous surf warning from the Hunter all the way down to Eden, with a huge swell expected too. Sydney will enjoy similar conditions to today, mostly sunny with light to moderate easterly winds. We're heading for a top of 25 in Penrith, 24 for Richmond, Blacktown and Campbelltown, 21 for Terry Hills, 22 in Gosford in the city, and a top of 19 for Cronulla. Let's take a look ahead. Blue skies again on Wednesday, a top of 25 degrees, a warm and sunny day on Thursday, heading for 29. Friday will be hot, a top of 30 degrees before a shower or two and a possible storm. At this stage, we could see a few showers over the weekend, most likely overnight on Saturday and into Sunday morning, before filing up on Monday, those nights warming up over the next few days as well, Mark.
Looks great. Amber, thank you. And that's Nine's afternoon news. Our next bulletin is at 6 o'clock with Peter Overton. I'm Mark Burrows. Have a great evening. Hope to see you tomorrow.